Well, what do you know? It's time to calibrate. This is episode 47. I'm Mark Levesque, and joining me today are Brent Robier and Bob Allaby. No guest today. This is going to be a Hostful episode, and we will be discussing our opinions of recent Geneva Watch Week releases. This is not something we normally do, as there are a ton of other podcasts that discuss releases and news. But I have some hot takes, and I think people like that when I fly off the handle. So that's what we're going to do today. And towards the end, we'll also talk about our journey to Vancouver Timepiece Show happening this coming weekend. So stay tuned through the show and make sure you catch that part. So how are you guys doing? Brent, you've recovered from your trip to Geneva yet?
Yeah, like I was just saying before the show started, I think that yesterday was the first day that I woke up without jet lag. So that felt great, and I was just thinking about it after I said that I'm about 2 days away from getting jet lag in the opposite direction to Vancouver. So yeah, I'm, as you guys know, I think I mentioned it last year too, is that after a lot of flying, I get a sense of vertigo. Like it's almost as though there's an inner ear thing going on. So for the last couple of days, I could just be standing, doing something very banal and all of a sudden feel like I'm going to tip over or something like that. So make sure somebody catches me in Vancouver, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And what's that, like a 10-hour swing, like 7 hours one way and then another 3 hours
Yeah,
backwards?
exactly. Yeah.
Now you have an excuse if we have one too many of our rotation of beer and bourbon.
That's right.
That's our go-to after the shows, Brent and I.
Yeah. It's not the booze. It's the
Yeah,
it's the
that's
flying.
it. That's it. Yeah, I promise I can hold my alcohol. It's this vertigo.
All right, so let's get started with the wrist checks, guys. Bob, what's on your wrist?
Today I've been wearing this watch quite a bit, actually. I don't know if you guys have had any experience with Sheffield watches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're like awesome. I saw them for the first time. They're out there all over the place on social media, but I met the owner and saw them in DC for the first time, and I was just blown away by the watches at the price point. I think almost everything's under $300. The watch is the Diver 1A. It's kind of a skin diver.
Yep.
And yeah, it was my lawn mowing watch today, actually. First lawn mowing of the year.
What the hell? You guys are mowing lawns? Snow just finished melting here.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, those Sheffield watches are really something, actually. We had, I think, more than half a dozen in here. And so I farmed a few out to some of our writers for reviews. But before that, I took a photography of all of them. I'm really impressed. I can't believe the price point on them. The quartz ones are really nice, but he's even got some beautiful automatics. In fact, I have that same one, Bob, here in the studio right now.
Yeah, this one's the automatic, and he sent up that 24-hour one with the split dial with the half silver. I don't know if you got that one. That's
nice.
really cool too. Yeah, man. I there's not a lot of companies that you can get a good watch at that price right now. Plus, and the bonus, the owner's like a really awesome guy too. So
Jay's fantastic, and you know what? He's also very transparent about where the watch is produced, etc. There's no trying to hide it with whatever. Sometimes you hear Swiss made, and you know that's maybe 60% if you cobble things together. But like he's very honest about where they come from. So it's a great brand and a great guy behind it for sure.
Very cool. Brent, what do you got on?
Well, I actually, after the last week and a half or so of being in Neuchâtel in Geneva, I decided to go with comfort food today. I put the Breitling Aerospace back on wrist. That's kind of like my everyday, my beater, as you want to call it. And so I got to plant some trees a little bit later this afternoon, and I was rounding up stuff here earlier for chores and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's what I got on, and it feels kind of good to have something like that back after you've just been in that heady atmosphere of these astronomically priced watches.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mm.
So 2 weeks ago, I was at a Facebook meetup, Facebook watch meetup, and it was at Atelier Lou. It's this little watch shop on Sherbrooke in Montreal, in DG area. And they had, all their counters are full of watches and so forth. And they have a used section. And we were chatting. I brought all the isotopes there too to show everyone, and it was quite a few people, maybe 100 people, at the group. It was pretty good. Same people, Bob, that you attended at the Christmas event.
Oh yeah,
but it's one of the two groups. This is the other one, but a lot of the same people. And
yeah, that's a good crowd.
Yeah, in the counter was a bronze Eterna Contiki with their Calibre 3900 or 39 movement inside. And it's a watch I've always admired online. I've seen pictures a million times. I've never actually seen one in person, right? And this thing had some really nice patina on it. And so I asked to see it, and it kind of bugged me for days afterwards. And last Friday, I went back to talk about Isotope potentially being an AD there at Atelier
Mm.
Lou. And they carry Nevada Gretchen, Vulcane, Yema, the PRX stuff, not PRX, prospects, Seiko prospect
Mhm.
stuff. So it'd be a good place for Isotope to be. And I asked to see it again, and we talked, and we made a deal, and I picked it up. So that's what I've got on wrist. It's the green dial, green bezel. I washed off the patina. It was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be to remove most of the patina, so that whatever grows on it will be mine and not
What
somebody
did you
else's.
do? Like the lemon juice thing, or
No, I did salt and vinegar.
Salt and vinegar.
No,
Yep,
no,
I've
no
used that before
dunking, no
too.
salt, no, just a toothbrush, salt, vinegar, and just lightly rubbed, and it just came off like instantly.
Yeah. I actually really love that colorway of bronze next to green. That's a
Yeah,
beautiful color.
agreed.
Mm.
And Aaron Bespoke is going to make me a strap to go along with it. So it's probably going to be some gray kudo leather, olive green backing, and some green stitching. It's going to look pretty cool. I can't wait to get that
Awesome.
strap. You know me, I'm not a strap guy. I'm having a hard time wearing it on this strap, even though it's really, really broken in. So it's curved properly, but it's worn really well. And I don't know, it just doesn't sit right on my wrist. I'm going to have a hard time with that. I just love the watch, holding it in hand and the feeling of the bronze and the way the case is curved. And it's a big watch. It's a 44 millimeter watch, which is large. It's got a long lug to lug, but it fits my wrist nice. And what I really like, and I took a picture of it today, put it on Instagram, the movement fits the case.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like it's a 30 millimeter movement.
Mhm.
You know, when you have a 44 millimeter watch, if this was an ETA 2824, it'd look like a tiny porthole in the middle of the watch. But this is, a big, robust, solid movement. I read an article on Hodinkee about it. It uses the same escapement and escapement lever, as well as a couple other parts that are identical to the ETA 2824. So serviceability is really good, but everything's larger and more robust. The
Cool.
click springs, all that stuff is all bigger and stronger. So that's really cool. Apparently it'd been sitting in a counter for a couple of years. So when I first got it, it was off by like 300 something seconds a day. Like it was really bad. Put it on the winder, had it going for a day or two. Now it's running at -1 second a day.
Wow.
So go figure. I knew it was going to settle. I didn't realize it was going to settle that good. So yeah, I'm very pleased with it. I can't wait for that other strap to come. So that's the wrist checks. How about we get started on the recap for Geneva? Brent, you were actually there in person. Can you tell us about your trip? How did it go? Did you have fun? Did you meet a lot of people? Did you see a lot of watches? Did you buy
Well,
anything?
yeah, all of the above except buy, although I came really, really close. So I'll mention that a little bit later. But honestly, one of the coolest parts was that we went a little bit early, as you guys know, and we went to Neuchâtel. So when we first landed, we were sort of transferred up to Neuchâtel, and that was just Caroline and I at that point. And we went to Rado's sort of celebration of Masters of Materials, the 40th re-release of the 40th anniversary re-release of the Rado Antigrau. So that was a wonderful event. Like it was far more a production than I assumed it was going to be. We did go for another tour of the Commodore high-tech ceramic plant, which we had done actually the year previous, but this time they had some experiential things there, like some ability to actually get behind the scenes, and they, for example, they had a Captain Cook, this high-tech ceramic Captain Cook, and they would put it on a little stand, and you could knock it off with this huge pipe that would go at 5 Gs, and it would just send it flying like a golf ball into a wall. And then you would look at it afterwards, not a scratch. The shock system hasn't disturbed the time whatsoever. So it was kind of fun that way. And then we had a really big meal and a celebration and some surprise guests and all that kind of thing. So it was a blast. And then we had a little bit of a calm in the storm because there were 2 days in between that and sort of the onset of Watches and Wonders and Time to Watches and all the Geneva shows. So when we transferred to Geneva, Caroline took the flight home, and Matthias came and joined me. And basically, for the rest of the week, it was non-stop action. I think between us, we probably had 45 meetings over 4 days. So, and like, just to understand, like Pal Expo is so enormous that it takes you about 8 minutes on a really brisk walk, not stopping to say hello or grab a coffee, from the entrance point to the very, very far end. So, you got a motor to make it that fast. And my first appointment started at the very end with Oris, and then just went down that first day till about 7:15 at night. So started at 9 in the morning and then 7:15. And then that was like that every single day, whether it was a mix of me going sometimes to Time to Watches, sometimes to Chronopolis, but each day was always at Pal Expo for a certain period of time. It was great. Saw all kinds of wonderful people. Saw Mike from This Watch, That Watch, had a great conversation with him. Saw Ariel Adams, chatted with him at a dinner, and saw all kinds of people that we've had on this show. So that was really interesting. And of course, met up with Chaussee. Was mentioning to you earlier, Mark. We had a nice meal there. Vincent from Mainspring Watch, and then we were with Theo from Micro Mill Spec. We had dinner with him one night, and of course, Jason Hutton from the Timepiece Show ended up staying in the apartment that I had taken, and so we were together an awful lot of the time as well. It was a blast. It was just it was an exhausting blast, but you're sort of like in it with adrenaline. And then I would stay up late at night, and the other two are in the room are snoring away, and I'm working on articles that were going to be published that day or that evening. But totally worth the journey. It was fantastic for sure.
How much coffee did you drink?
Here's the funny thing, right? Prior to that, I had sort of given up on caffeinated coffee. So I I'm drinking decaf in the morning, but it's really difficult to get decaf in Europe. So everywhere I went, I was so hyper caffeinated, that I was shaking by the end of the day.
Sure, you coffee almost every one I mean, and it's not
That's
just
right.
any coffee, it's an espresso or a cappuccino.
That's right.
like
That's right.
high-end.
You sit down. Can I get you something sparkling? Can
Yeah.
I get you a coffee, espresso, double espresso, sugar?
Yeah, here's some chocolate. That's all you need. Coffee and sugar. As you were saying, you don't drink caffeinated coffee. Both Bob and I took a swig of our coffees.
Yeah, and there were a lot of chocolates in those gift bags too, I'll tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it was great.
Best watches of the Geneva Watch Week. What do you think, guys? Bob, what's one of your standout best watch?
I actually picked a couple of different ones. The one that I kind of like, there's a bunch of the watch companies leaning into the whole space thing right now.
I wonder why.
Like, I think it's kind of a good timing. Obviously, there's space tourism is starting to become a thing, and there's wealthy people that'll want a nice space watch on their wrist for. But I did like the IWC, the Pilot Venture, with the way the mechanism worked with the bezel and the toggle kind of on the side. I thought that was really neat. I like the look of that one too. Like, I could see wearing that. But 28 grand, and that's another trend other than space tourism.
28 grand US.
The prices are like crazy this year.
Yeah, they're in outer space for sure.
Yeah, I like the UFA divers. I'd like to see, you saw those in person. The one thing that I don't know about is the hand design. I'd like to see that like in hand. The way they've changed the hands, but I think the size is just right. I like the new clasp. The spring drive plus or minus 20, I think it's plus or minus 20 seconds a year. And the price is pretty up there though too on that. It's like over 12K, I think, for those ones. What else did I have? I think my favorite watch is a watch from a brand that I actually never ever paid attention to before. Really, other than just surface level, and that was that Tonda chronograph Mysteria.
Oh,
did you guys see that one?
Yeah.
From
very cool.
Parmigiani? Just the way, I just saw a few clips of that, and the way the hands sort of tuck in when the chronograph isn't in use. It's not really my style of watch, and it's even, I think, more expensive than the two that we just talked about in the 40s.
Oh yeah,
close to 50,000, but that's just an amazing like feat of work. Like, that's a complete piece of artwork to me. Like, I love that.
I agree.
Yeah, that was really cool. What about you, Brent? Any faves?
Yeah, I got a bunch actually. And the funny thing is that, I obviously spend an awful lot of time on social media as you guys do, and probably too much, but I love to interact and see what other people are saying. And what really surprised me is in the early days, in the onset of the show, people were saying, "Oh, Watches and Wonders is boring this year. It's so boring this year." And I think that the problem is that people there are sort of true watch enthusiasts who just love everything about watches. And then there are people who are kind of like really big brand fanboys or fangirls. And if their brand didn't release something that blew them away, they felt this immediate letdown. Because I'll tell you, it was anything but boring. Like for sure, you mentioned that Parmigiani Fleurier Tonda, the PF. You literally cannot see the other hands when you're looking at it, and all of a sudden you actuate it, and there they are.
That's wild.
It's unbelievable. Unlike you, it's not necessarily a watch that's up my stylistic alley, but you gotta appreciate that. It's really, really wonderful. So, of the sort of big named houses, I would say that also the other one was Vacheron Constantin, the overseas, the self-winding ultra thin, very, very good watch. The GG Lecoutre Master Control Chronometer, the Date Power Reserve, a great watch. But obviously, I think people felt a little deflated that maybe Tudor didn't release something, the next great Black Bay 58 or something. But they still had some, the Monarch was a nice watch, and and a lot of the refinements that they were doing, I think were things that people were asking for. They wanted the Metas movement, they wanted the T-Fit clasp on things, so they got what they wanted, but they in a way they didn't get the hyper big release, and so that was a bit of a letdown for those people. But for me, it was really the independence that shone. Like, do you guys know Trilobe, the French brand Trilobe?
Yeah.
So like that's one of the few brands I think that's doing something completely new. That orbital display is so cool. It's got a really strong brand identity. Like you look at it, and once you know what Trilobe is, you can't mistake it. It looks fantastic.
Their movements are wild looking too.
They are. In fact, that was one of my favorite things, was turning them over to photograph the back side of them. But they're a serious independent. This is not what we're not talking about a micro brand here, and we're not talking about micro brand pricing either. But it's totally new design language. So for sure, Trilobe right up there. Maybe top of that particular show for me. But Resance, here's the funny thing between me and Resance. I always wondered what was the big deal. Like I couldn't see it in the renders or the photographs, but when you see one in person, suddenly you realize, what am I looking at? The oil-filled cases make things look so interesting. It almost looks unreal or surreal, the watch. And so the Type 11 was a really, that one isn't oil-filled, but just the way the whole thing moves is really fantastic. My dad used to work for this company years ago called the Naboo Network. You probably never heard of it because it went bankrupt. And the thing is they were so far ahead of their time. This is back in the 80s, and they were beaming, video games and computer content through cable. And, it just was beyond its time. And I feel like Resance is like way ahead of the curve in some of the technical innovation that they're doing, conceptual stuff, I mean. And then Laurent Ferrier, it's so funny. Laurent Ferrier, I think when people talk about finishing, this is what they're talking about. Like they don't make a hype watch. There's nothing there that you're going to be like, oh, I can't wait till X comes out or whatever. But, they make only about 600 watches a year. And there's a lot of handcrafting that still goes into them, still goes into the movements. And, it kind of strikes me as it's still one of those places that's really, really good at finishing and classical watchmaking. So I really loved the taking a look at their stuff, especially what do they call it? The Sport Traveler, I think it is. It's a really nice watch. Arm & Strom. This is like a little brand that honestly, if AP had released their mirrored force resonance, it would probably be like all over the place. Everybody would be talking about it. And yet Arm & Strom remains kind of like a secret handshake. And then Péguinet from France. Their Calibre Royale is amazing to look at, but more than that, it's amazing construction because any module that you put on it, it's not stacked anymore. So it's like everything is done, and it doesn't increase the thickness of things, and the watches themselves are really, really beautiful. So yeah, for me, it was like at Watches and Wonders in particular, those would be kind of my favorites. For sure. The independence really blew me away. And so when people say, hey, that was boring, I think you need to look a little deeper. You need to just maybe go to the fringe a little bit. And there's so much exciting stuff going on.
You got to know where to look, though.
What about you, Mark?
Yeah, you mentioned Renaissance and the royal filled cases. I remember when I had my Zin UX
Hmm.
with the oil filled case. What surprised me most is it feels like everything is pressed up against the glass, including the hands,
Yeah.
and you're able to read that watch at angles that you should not be able to read it at,
Mhm.
which is really, really wild. So combine that with the discs and the way that Resonance watches move fluidly,
Hmm.
uh, pun intended. That's got to be phenomenal. I've only seen videos. I've only seen, hands-on stuff. Never seen them in person. I'd love to see those watches in person. And then in the Piguet, the construction of their movements. Incidentally, while I was reading about my new watch, the Eterna Caliber 39, it's built the same way. That's why the watch movement is so big, because there are empty spaces in the movement to add a GMT, add a chronograph, add a triple date. So that's the same with Piguet. So that way, when you do that, the movement doesn't increase in thickness, and you're able to keep things manageable, as opposed to at a 2894, which has the chrono module on top, and then the movements are super thick. And then if you look at it sideways, the pushers are higher than the crown on the side of the
Yes.
case,
Mhm.
and you also get that weird when you hit the chronograph to start it, the minute hand jumps a little bit.
Hmm.
It resets itself okay later on. It's just annoying to see the other hands move when you start. But anyways, that's just a nitpick. Um, my favorites of the show, I have to say that the Grand Seiko Yufa Ushio 300-meter divers, I had to read that carefully,
Yeah.
and 41 millimeters, and they're super titanium and all that stuff. They're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I love the new hands.
Mhm.
They're, typical, distinct Grand Seiko styling. I think it's phenomenal. I'm worried a little bit about the clasp. Now, when they came out with the clasp last year on their regular, three-handed watch, it looked compact and nice. On this dive one, because they added an extension and the link that's close to the clasp on the 6 o'clock doesn't seem to articulate. So the overall length of that clasp looks very long.
It is long. It is long. And unfortunately, of course, you can't resize it to fit yourself. So even though I had it on wrist, it had a drape underneath my wrist. So I couldn't really tell how it felt underneath.
Yeah,
But it is an absolutely stunning dive watch. Like
I'm sure
really
it's
nice.
gorgeous. My issue with that though is the price. I had the same issue with their Series 900 or whatever it's called
Mhm.
diver they came up with a couple years ago. The pricings are ridiculous. Now, consider this. This new one is $300 less than the other one. The other one's slightly larger. It's 44 instead of 41, so 3 millimeters. I get it. A lot of people too big. But that other one has a movement that has a 5-day power reserve. Also accurate 20 seconds a year and all that happy stuff. So a $300 difference. So basically this one has less material, has a movement that is slightly inferior, and is only $300 less. Like they're pricing themselves in a category that's like I can't personally justify $12,000 for that kind of a dive watch. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I'm hoping.
Mm.
And you are seeing those other ones at around $7,000 to $8,000 now pre-owned. So I'm thinking in a couple of years those ones are going to be in that range, hopefully, and then that to me is reasonable for that incredible watch. That's my take on those. I absolutely love them. One of my favorite of the show. My second one is the new Vacheron Constantin Overseas Dual Time.
Yeah.
They made an Everest version a few years ago, that was extremely limited, and it was about $10,000 less expensive. Same watch, and it was stunning, beautiful. Again, this is a watch I will never own. I never aspire to own. I will never be in that world where I can afford these unobtainium watches.
Sweet.
But I appreciate that they've gone and made this a regular production watch. It's beautiful and it's very functional. And I just think it's a spectacular watch. And if ever I do win the lottery or I don't know, inherit billions of dollars, I will bet I'll get one. Probably the white one. It's absolutely stunning. So those are my two that I stand out for me as best watches. Others are equal good. As far as is the show being boring, I think that people expect a lot from a few brands,
That's right.
and I'll get to that a little later on. But I think that when they don't deliver, then you know, you, me, Bob, other watch collectors that are nerds that love watches, period, will find things to appreciate. But the general mass public, when those other big brands don't hit it, boring show.
I agree.
And the good stuff kind of gets drowned out too.
Yes,
by the people that are
absolutely.
naysaying the big brands like
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
But, unfortunately, you look at like 2,400 journalists there, right? And you wonder how many are really doing any kind of, and I use this in air quotes, hard journalism about watches, because some of them are there just to build their own brand. So they're gonna do those snappy one-liners, those hot takes, and that's going to cloud the people who listen to them. That's going to cloud their judgment of the show because they're not on the show floor. They don't see what everybody else is seeing. So that's an unfortunate part of this proliferation of watch media in some respect, because if you want to be heard above the din yourself, then you've got to say something that's slightly controversial. So you figure out what that is, and maybe that's, hey, the show is boring, or
Yep.
or you slag Tudor for something, or and that gets you that extra hit, that extra little bump. That's unfortunate too.
Yeah. So, guys, worst of the show. What do you think? I know you guys are going to have a hard time with this because
Or nice.
obviously you have media. You're in the media. You got to cover your butts and you don't want to insult anybody. I personally don't give a shit. So I'm going to say what I want to say. So Brent, go for it. What do you think? What's the worst?
Okay. So for me, the thing is that some brands obviously just played it safe, and it felt more like product management than it did about creativity. And maybe they're right, because in a way, because 2026 and last year too were uncertain years, right? So if you're going to launch something amazing and people are already playing it safe with their money, maybe you don't want to do that because it's not going to create the explosion that you were hoping it's going to create. Or maybe even worse, it doesn't explode at all, and so then you kind of fall flat after all this R&D. So I get that, but at the same time, I think that that maybe Rolex in particular probably disappointed a lot of people, and some of the things that they put out are sort of questionable. We have a new writer on the Calibrated Risk called Sylvia Bonfante, and she wrote a really interesting article about that new Oyster Perpetual 36. I forget the reference number, but the one with the Rolex written all over the dial. And I liked her take. It's not one that I necessarily agree with 100%, but I think it was a very well-reasoned take on it. For me, I just thought, man, that's not a very nice watch, ultimately. And so for that reason, I think that for me would be one of the, it's hard to say worse because I didn't see everything. There were some things that Braemont did leading up to the show I really questioned too, but that was the same, the year before. I think they're finding it very difficult to get their sea legs underneath them with this new identity. So those are not all great. And you know what? The problem for me was not even just individual watches. Sometimes it's about that sort of Marvel cinematic universe of watch collecting where they just keep expanding existing collections, hoping that one hit that they had will continue to give them hits, So like Bowman Mercier was a little bit like that. I know that's not a brand that we're all usually talking about, but I did get a chance to meet with them and I felt that a little bit. I love their Riviera line, but some of the other lines, it just felt like, oh, a new textured dial or a new Tiffany blue, shocker, So for me, they don't necessarily compete with some of the other really cool independent stuff that I saw. So worst, it's hard to say. I'm sure there were probably worse things than the Rolex that was there. But when you're talking about a brand as big as Rolex, you do expect to see, even in a soft release, you expect to see something pretty phenomenal. And that really just wasn't.
Bob, what about you?
Yeah, so I had on the top of the list, I think that's the top of the list for a lot of people, the unexpected Rolex Swatch collaboration. I can't take credit for that, so I saw somebody in a forum describe it as that, but yeah, the Jubilee dial, I just thought it was just ugly, to be honest with you. So, and those kind of graphic dials they've done the last few years, I've just not been a huge fan of, but I'm not a huge Rolex guy either, so there is that. Yeah, that was a bit disappointing from Rolex. They take away the Pepsi?
Yep.
They took away the Pepsi and didn't replace it with something.
Did you see what happened to the prices of the pre-owned Pepsis?
I'm sure they went crazy.
No,
yeah.
Guess.
I don't know. I actually didn't look.
So they were trading in around the 18 to 22,000 range, right?
Mm-hmm.
When that was announced, they bumped up to 40, 45,000.
What?
Yeah.
That is
overnight.
Bonkers.
Overnight. Now, that doesn't mean that they're selling for that price and people are not buying them for that price. It's just people, the stupidity.
The other brand for me, and the more I think about it, I maybe change my mind a little bit on it, but Brent mentioned about how certain people are sort of fans of brands, and I'm a big fan of Tudor, so I was thinking with this being a big year for Tudor, I thought there would be more from them. So a really good watch, you're talking about worst watches. If it's possible that there's a really good watch be a worst watch, it is the Monarch to me. Because this, first of all, I think it's a really nice watch, just not my style of watch. But that being sort of the highlight of the releases makes it sort of the worst watch, or one of my worst releases of the year. You know what I mean? I think they'll do maybe some other stuff throughout the year
Oh, they have
too.
to.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see what they do kind of throughout 2026. But that was a little bit of a letdown for me.
Mhm. Yeah, sometimes like especially when you're in Pal Expo, you can feel that maybe there's more of a corporate vibe there than you would expect, and then it's kind of like I was in the places where I didn't have an official meeting. I was frequently asked, "Are you a retailer?" Because I'm sure that the deals that are being done there are very important for a lot of brands, and so in sort of lock and step with that, you see sometimes watches that are designed for clients rather than collectors, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more like strategy over passion, so they, this one will sell to so-and-so, and that's why we make it. So you do get that vibe from some of the watches. That's
actually the one that I did like, and I know you posted it, you got hands-on with, was that ceramic. The Black Bay, the ceramic.
Yeah.
The black with kind of, it looks like a slatey looking colored dial almost, or gray.
That's a strange watch, because like in some light, it actually looks like the watch is gray and not black. And then if you go underneath white light, it goes completely black. And so even when I was taking shots of it, just the way I moved it completely changed the look of the watch.
Yeah, I noticed that actually in a few pictures. So that was kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah, and they had done ceramic before. This is just sort of, I guess, a blacked out version with a full bracelet and all that kind of stuff. And it's a nice watch, actually. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm not a big black watch fan, but it actually is a nice watch.
All right, let's let this guy loose here.
The little stretch.
And now for the main event.
No.
Yeah.
So worst watch for me is, without a shadow of a doubt, the Bremont Supernova chronograph POS. So let's start with the price. This thing is $8,250 USD. That's over 11 grand Canadian for an SW500 based movement that has no modifications or anything done. What's even more irritating is the campaign going along with it. The whole, it's going to be part on the rover, it's going to go to the moon. What? They're going to wind it when it leaves? And then how is it going to wind? I even asked this question a couple of times on their Instagram posts. Sure, inertia in space will wind a watch. So if you're wearing it and you're walking around, whatever, you're doing movements, your arm will wind it. Okay. But if it's on a winder, it's not going to work. The rotor won't go down. There's no gravity to make the rotor move. So what? They're going to put a swing arm on the rover and have the thing do like a what do you call it? A metronome with the watch on. Like, this is so stupid. And the guy at the rover company mentioned that it's going to be encased in the body of the rover. So it's not going to be working. It's just going to be sitting in the rover. Who cares? It's not going to be cement, and it's going to have, swings of temperature minus 200 to plus 200 degrees. So what? If the watch is not moving and you can't test its accuracy in space, like say Fortis did, they sent those things up on a balloon wound. It has 70 hours power reserve. It spent probably all that time in the 0G or whatever, in the cold, in the sun, and they tracked with cameras the precision of the watches, had those things fall back down to earth, and then tested them again once they got there, and they were all fine, right? And then they put them in rockets, had them go in the rockets, shaking and moving and all that stuff as they were wound, and then they came back down. Anyways, long story short, I just think their marketing is absolute garbage. Davide, his whole interview with the company and the space and it's all wrong. And then how it looks, it is but ugly. It looks like something Seiko made in the late 2000s when the Arctura and all that stuff, when they were having fun with those weird angular designs and stuff. It's also really thick. It's
very sad, because that's a brand that, when it was first founded by those two guys, it had such a distinct language to the design, and now you're not really sure what's going to come next, because there's no cohesion across the lines, So it's really unfortunate.
No, and they believe that they are above, and Here's an anecdote. Like we were in Los Angeles at Hours and Minutes, and before the show started, so the show was starting at noon, I think, or 11 o'clock. I don't remember, but there was a breakfast with Bremont first. So there was a venue where all the brands are in one room, and then outside that room there was like a patio kind of thing outside, and Bremont set up there, and they had a breakfast with people who showed up, whatever, and all that stuff. They provided lunch, and then as soon as that was done, they packed up and left. They didn't stay at the show. They didn't stay with anybody of the regular people, all the other brands. They didn't court it. They didn't talk to us. They didn't, as if all the other brands were, beneath them, which is sad because Christopher Ward was there and a whole bunch of, not micro, but Seal Instruments was there and, some really cool stuff. And these guys didn't stick around. It was just very sad. And when I went to talk to them and I told them I'm a previous Bremont owner, I had a Supermarine 500 and I loved that watch. It was super cool. And, I was talking about the case and the trip to case and that. Like, I didn't even know what I was talking about. I'm sad. Like, I love the MB2 and all the things they used to do with the parachutes, the ejection seats and all that stuff. They've lost their way. They're trying to find a different way. And what feels to me is a last minute put together. Hey, they went to space. It was successful. Let's get a watch out there and make sure that everybody knows we're going to space. That's what it feels like. Runner up for me as far as bad watches is the one that Bob likes. The IWC Pilot's Venture Vertical Drive.
Oh, really?
Yes, the tech is sick. The tech is really, really cool. That thing is almost 45 millimeters wide and has an integrated rubber strap that jets out on both sides. That's not going to fit most people, right? Unless you're Brent size or Bob size, or I have a pretty big wrist too. Like, maybe it'll fit us. But the dude that's got a 6-inch wrist, it's not going to happen. Or 6.5 inch, it's not going to happen. It's going to look stupid on them. It's also stark white, which, I'm okay. I love white dials, don't get me wrong, but the white rubber strap, not so much. And then there's the price. It's $28,000 US. That's almost 40 grand Canadian. Okay. Who's buying these watches, right? This is like their big Pilot shock absorber thingamajob that they came out with a few years ago. That thing right now is $102,000 US. It's 140 grand Canadian. Who's buying these watches? And it looks terrible, to be honest. Not the white one, but that shock absorber thing with the rubber things around the dial. It looks absolutely atrocious. And they made one for Petronas, their Formula One collaboration.
One,
yeah. Is it Petronas? Did I say it right?
That's right. Yeah, Patron.
I'm thinking tequila here.
Patron.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll save that for Vancouver.
Yeah, sure. but yeah, it's ugly. It's super expensive. Who's buying these $40,000 or $140,000 watches that, yes, the tech is amazing. And you kind of want them to, yes, shoot for the stars, build these incredible tech watches, but you've got to see that tech sort of filtered down eventually into watches that people aren't actually going to buy. And that shock absorber one's been around for a few years now and is still over 100 grand. Like, it's not coming down. US.
I don't know. I look at it slightly differently, but because I maybe side more with Bob on this one, because if I were to give out honorable mentions for good watches, and I were to pick the big brands, like obviously Grand Seiko would have been there, but IWC would have been too, and that includes things like a rose gold Ingenieur Tourbillon. I don't know who was asking for it, but actually on wrist, I actually loved it. And so this watch too, when I put it on wrist, even when I saw it in the box, I wasn't sure about it. When I put it on wrist though, I kind of thought it was very interesting, but I agree with you about the pricing of everything and everything that IWC put out this year. Like, I don't even think that they've announced the price of the rose gold Tourbillon. I think it even says to this day on the website.
Yeah, if you want to know,
yeah, so
if you have to ask, you can't afford it. That's basically what they're telling you.
But at the same time, if I go to Versailles, I don't go there thinking that I'm going to purchase the property. If I go to the Prado Museum, I don't think I'm going to go, walk out with one of their paintings, So you go sometimes to an event like this, or you build a watch just to say, hey, we can do it, and yes, it's astronomical and it's only going to be for a small number of people, but it's still cool to see. Like, I think that about the Vanguard watches. I think that one of the ones I saw this year was 200,000 Swiss francs. So Canadian dollars, well, might as well be $1 million, and so, but like, they only make 25 and they're not selling them to guys like me. Guys like me are just lucky enough to get a look at it from time to time, but it's going to be sold to somebody. They will sell all 25, but just not to guys like us. But I'm glad they do them. I am glad they actually make them, because otherwise you wouldn't see that kind of stuff. I don't think you could do it for a lot less.
I agree. I want to see innovation. I want to see all that cool stuff. But think
Mhm.
of it this way: when Mercedes comes up with a new thingamabob, tech or whatever, it goes into
Mhm.
their E series, then their S series, and eventually it makes their way to the C series and the B and the A or whatever.
Sure.
This is what has to happen. They can't make a shock absorber like, this is incredible, blah, 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 blah. No one's ever going to wear that for anything that has anything to do with shock. Who is going to go and do parachuting or rock climbing or whatever with $140,000 watch on their wrist, where that's where you need the shock absorber? The guy who's going to pay 140 grand is probably going to sit in a safe, or he's going to wear it when he goes out and to show off to people. It's not going to be any shock. The
Mhm.
only shock is the freaking drinks going down or whatever. Like it it's got to filter down. Yeah, tech, awesome. I want to see innovation, tech, super cool things, especially from brands that do have, yeah, you mentioned Vanguard, and we talk about Vacheron, and we talk about those will never be affordable. They never are. They don't have affordable watches. The tech is really cool and awesome. Shoot for the stars, build really crazy watches. But brands like IWC, Omega, and not to say that $7 or $8, $9,000 is an affordable watch. It's not, but it's realistic, and you want to see that tech come down to watches that people actually buy and use them for what they're meant to be used for. 140 grand is ridiculous. 40 grand for that white watch, also space because yeah, that's my take. So any standouts out there that you'd actually want to buy, like a watch that you saw that you want, but you said you almost bought something there, Brent.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the one I almost bought first, but then I have a bunch that really I would love to have on my wrist. So the one that I almost bought was actually from Bayard. Do you know what I'm talking about? The brand that spells its name BA111OD. It's a Swiss brand from Neuchâtel, and they make what one might call affordable tourbillons. So somewhere between 5 and 7,000 Swiss francs, which is still a lot of money for a Canadian, but ultimately is still good for a tourbillon watch. But they also build other watches, and one of the ones that I saw was a moon phase watch, and it had I think it was stamped guilloche, to be honest, but otherwise it looked beautiful. Like it would just had this little open heart area. It had the moon phase. It was very classic. It was very un-Brent, actually, to be honest. But at the same time, I thought, I would really like to have at least one watch like that. And it was only 1,100 Swiss francs, which puts it in the $2,000 category for Canadian dollars, and that's affordable. And it was a really nice watch. So that was the one I probably came closest to pulling a trigger on. But I know that down the road there's going to be, whether it's an Atelier Wen or an Awake in my future, I think Beau Bleu. I do own a Formex already, but like these are guys that were outside the main show and were down in like Chronopolis. Chronopolis had the most incredible vibe. 17 brands, tons of foot traffic coming off of the bridge in Old Town and the newer town. They had a great party on Saturday night. Sorry, my bad, Friday night. Well, I think I'm wrong there too. It's Thursday, but anyway, they all bleed into one after a while. But they, it just had an incredible vibe because you had very much design-led brands. You had Furlan Mari there. You had Serica, like I said, Beau Bleu, Formex, Awake, Atelier Wen, and all of them have watches that are affordable to the average person, but actually look like they should be more money. If I look at an Awake and now Awake has totally redesigned their case, and to me that's just put them in a whole other category. It's not just about the dial anymore. They actually have really a very attractive case to go along with that. So I could definitely see something like that on my wrist, and that would be like right up there. Obviously I've always wanted a Serica. I have a hard time just deciding which one it would be, but like those are brands that they may not be doing tons with the movement. They're not at that stage yet, but they're doing amazing stuff with the design language and with the dial. And they're within the reach of the common man and woman. So those are the ones that probably, if we want to say surprised me most. I also really loved, and I don't need the $20 for this, Mark, but that new moonshot chronograph from Isotope. It's not even, I think I'm allowed to talk about it, but it's not even on the website yet. But that new colorway with the orange and the really flashy green that's there. I've always loved the moonshot, the Terra Maris, but this is just like, if you want presents, this watch is just fantastic. So like that's there. Sherpa was also in the Beau Rivage area, and I just love Sherpa dive watches. The Ultra Dive, or it's just a gorgeous watch, and they have some new ones, and so I really enjoyed those for sure. So like out of the ones that's just kind of like were surprises, like it's more like there's, even though you're in that heady space of those crazy price watches, there are still watches out there that are competitive and still attainable. You know, you still can feel like you have a beautiful watch on your wrist and like you say, it's tough to call maybe $3,000 or $4,000 affordable these days, but that's the truth. To an enthusiast, that's an affordable price, and it's an attainable price.
Yeah.
So yeah, what about you guys?
Bob?
Yeah, so for me, it's unfortunate because a lot of the brands you're talking about again get sort of suppressed under all of the things, especially it takes a little time to catch up on some of their new releases. But for me, there was a couple that really stood out for me. The one would be the Grand Seiko Diver. If it wasn't for the price point, probably the blue, although I saw some video of the green. I can't remember who was showing it. And the way the green kind of plays with the light, I really like that too. So I'd love to see both of those in person. I really like those. I've been on a Panerai kick lately. I've never owned Panerai, and for some reason I've been going down a little bit of a rabbit hole with those. So they had the 01731. It's the brown dial. There was a brown dial model that they came out with, sort of that faux patina. I really like that. The ultimate watch, though, for me, if I had unlimited money, would be the VC Overseas Dual Time, the Cardinal Points. I like the brown one. I like the white one too, actually, the brown and the white. I think the brown is the south, the white's the north.
Yeah, there's a bad color. They did a good job on all of them.
I really liked those, all four of them, really. Backup plan is going to be probably something more along the lines of micro mil spec.
I was gonna say those two brands visually they're very, very similar, so you can get that vibe totally from a micro mil spec watch. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, so for me, obviously the Grand Seiko, we're not beating a dead horse here. Love it.
Yeah.
Gonna wait until the prices come more realistic. But one that really, really caught me by surprise is the full ceramic Tudor Black Bay. Like you said, and I would really need to have this in hand to look at it, because in some angles I don't like it at all, and in some other angles where it's mostly gray and shimmery, I think it's spectacular. One thing I've noticed about these kind of ceramic watches is that fingerprints appear. Like when you have it on, you see the fingerprints or whatever oil you have on. That would drive me nuts a little bit because I'm an anal guy. And yeah, I don't know. I want to see it. That said, I'm a little tutored out. I've had so many the last few years, kind of tired of those style of watches, dive watches. Like it's just another tutor. It's cool. It's nice. Other than that, I mean, you mentioned Serica before. Same problem. I don't know which one I like best. Last year at the Vancouver show, one of our friends bought the last one they had of the on hand of the ghosted out bezel version of the 5513. I don't remember the number, with the integrated mesh with the end link. That's just such a beautiful watch. Such a beautiful watch. I tell him every time I see him, I love that watch. A Panerai, I stopped following Panerai years ago. You know me, I'm not a strap guy. I'm having a hard time with the strap watch I have now on my wrist. But Panerai is the only brand where it belongs on a strap. Like there's no ands, ifs, or buts. Their bracelets are ugly. It needs to have an Aaron bespoke strap on a badass Panerai.
A friend of mine has the bracelet, and it is just awful, man.
Yeah. The old one's even worse.
His is the older one.
Oh God, with the screws underneath, it's just a terrible, terrible, terrible bracelet.
Yeah.
But they're cool. I had a PAM 100 and a 101. Oh no, I had a 101 and a 111. So the base models of different years. The first one I had the, like Cartier used to do, Panerai, all over decoration on the movement. And then the second one I had a regular. Actually, I had a closed case back. They're cool. They're fun to wear. They look great.
But their releases this year were astronomically priced as well.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. The pricing is, but the Paneristi, the collectors, they seem to be going for it. So more power to them. You know, I compared. You guys remember when I was doing the this or that on Instagram for a while?
Yep.
I had compared a solid gold Fears in a cushion shape versus a solid gold Panerai radio mirror in you know, same shape, same, and the Panerai was like $10,000 or $15,000 less than the Fears for
Oh,
the
wow.
same material.
Hmm.
So, anyways, I don't know. They are price expensive. Fears is really trying to their pricing strategies. Their pricing strategy. So brands that fell short. You know what? I'm going to take this one first because you guys touched it real quick.
Okay.
Brands that fell short for me are Rolex and Tudor. Not because the releases weren't great, and we said it. Rolex wasn't very good, but Rolex missed the mark. They teased a 100-year anniversary of their oyster case. They should have done something special with that. Maybe like a super water resistant, but a regular Datejust or an Ocean Perpetual that's 300-meter water resistant. Something special about their case design and construction
Mhm.
and engineering. They should have done. I don't know. I whatever. They should have come up with another dive watch or something to celebrate 100 years. You know, in an industry that celebrates anniversaries every chance they get, 45 years, 15 years, 20 years, I still 10 years. Like this industry loves to celebrate and commemorate anniversary 100 years.
Mhm.
Should have blown it out of park. Now, apparently, I think I saw a teaser. Something in May is happening with Rolex, that they're releasing something else in May. And Tudor, 100 years of existence, not just a specific case model or shape or whatever. 100 years of existence, and they missed the boat too. Completely, utterly missed the boat. Now, we know that Tudor likes to release things along the way,
Mhm.
not just at Watches and Wonders. So, you know, door's still open for them. I think that they both they just missed it this year. Honestly, they could have done something really special, and you know that Rolex and Tudor work on stuff years in advance,
Mhm.
and this was approaching and coming and coming and coming, and they teased it. Tudor did, you know, the thing on Instagram where they had 100 years of Tudor and they showed the original and the video and it was the music and it was really cool. Man, we got another color, the 54. We got the Monarch. Look, Monarch's cool. It's not for me, like Bob. I think it's a cool watch. You know, it's got a nice
Mhm.
bracelet, got the T-fit. California dial, I'm not sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
They should have swung for the fences. Both of them could afford it to have a flop,
Mhm.
right? Brent, you mentioned before, a lot of brands don't want to swing for the fences in case they have a flop, but both these brands can handle a flop if they need to. I think they should have gone for it, and they didn't. And of course, Bremont, you guys can't see it. It's a podcast, but I'm shaking my head. Actually, you know what? Bremont had an opportunity. Yeah, Bremont screwed up on that moon watch of theirs, but that other watch they came up with the NOS Caliber 23, the pilot one, that's a good looking watch. Got no price, sadly. So yeah, that's my rant on the brands that fell short. Go ahead, Bob. Your turn.
Yeah, I'll keep mine short because it's to me it still has to be Tudor. They did some cool stuff with like refinements to the Black Bay line and the Monarch, and even the Royal. There was a couple of cool releases, but they're just not my type of watch, so I didn't get particularly excited about it. But I want to see them do something crazy, like another North Flag or something just totally different. That's what I was hoping for.
Mhm.
And didn't happen. But again, we'll see what happens throughout the year this year. What about you, Brent?
Yeah. Okay. That's a tough one for me, actually, who really, really missed it because I don't feel as strongly about the Tudor miss as you guys do. I feel a little bit like what Mark floated a second ago is that they still may come up with something, a month down the road or over the summer or something where they're going to have a huge experiential thing where they're going to bring journalists out to do diving or something and release something, and maybe that might have been the better play in terms of like nothing else will be happening. And so it won't necessarily get squeezed out by any other big releases. So I could see that there. Yeah. 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 And so look, I'm sure that a lot of the big Tudor fans are hoping for that. So I still hold out for that as a possibility. Um, so in terms of like brands that really, really missed it, like I have to side with Mark on Bremont, but I'm not even sure that's just a this year thing. I think it's like they're really floundering, as a brand, and they've lost, I think, any kind of continuity with their previous customers. So they're really going to have to build a whole new fan base. And Bremont, they have an enormous facility. They had an enormous, also booth at Watches and Wonders. So all this has to be paid for, so there's sooner or later they're gonna have to sell some serious number of watches. So yeah, I guess I'll side with the Bremont.
Even when I went to British Watchmakers, they not the last one, the time before, they had a huge booth in the corner, and it was like dead zone over there compared to like very small, like mom and pop brands. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So
yeah, and in the UK,
some work to do.
their revenue declaration, and so forth. It's not like in Canada and the US; it's all public. And Jose did some digging, and it looks like they're bleeding money.
No, I can't imagine. Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to get that back. So, brands that knocked it out of the park, not a model, brand as a whole that knocked it out of the park this year for you. Brent, you want to go first?
Yeah, but I'm gonna cheat on this one because I'm not gonna use a brand that I saw in Watches and Wonders, if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, it's Geneva Watch Week. I call this, so it's not just Watches and Wonders.
Okay,
it's everything around it.
So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna list a few, but I'm gonna start with the one that I think kills it the most, and it's Felipe Pekulik. You guys might know this one from like Cinziani Yordaka did some drawings of their stuff before the watch was even created. So like she, like conceptual drawings that she did, and they're beautiful, and they're in the last issue of the Calibrated Wrists. So some of those drawings. So this was my first experience actually seeing the brand, and it is the brand's first appearance in Geneva during that week because they're from Germany, Berlin, I guess, and honestly, if I had to pick a best in show, like the best watch that I saw the entire time, it would be their Moon Phase 2. It's amazing. It's got like black polishing, frosted finishing. It's got a 3D rendering of the moon that's in there, and you don't even see it at first because there's so much cool stuff going on, and then you realize it's even the southern hemisphere of the moon because Pekulik was born in Brazil, so it's kind of like a nod to his heritage there. And either side of that watch, you could wear it either way and feel like this is an amazing piece that's on my wrist. So I really think what they're doing, especially because now they've made the move from an artisanal altering of movements like the Unitas and stuff like that to an actual in-house movement maker in this Moon Phase 2. It's just gorgeous. The mix of metal colors and everything, it feels great on wrist. I think that even Mateus, that was probably his choice for the entire time we were there as well. So that was really cool. Two others that I just want to give honorable mention to, maybe three actually. Pragma, who I continue to love as a brand, did some really beautiful stuff. GOS with their Damascene dials and things like that. And
yeah, they're outstanding.
Like they're really fantastic.
Yeah, they're going to be at the Hype Show in October in New York. Yeah. Wait to see them in person.
And you know what? He's so proud about having won the Timepiece World Award. He actually had a picture of himself holding it at the booth at Time to Watches. It was great.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and then the other one I think that is going to be a rising star is watch out for Didier Cavassino. Okay, the brand is eponymous. It's Cavassino is the name of the brand, and at the moment he's making tourbillon watches. I would say like this guy's going places. He worked at Bulgari. He worked 10 years at Rolex. He is so meticulous and so technical and at the same time so passionate about everything and so modest. I really think and really hope that we'll see a lot from him in the future. So those would be the ones that knocked it out of the park for me.
For me, I found this really tough because there were so many brands that had like a cool release or two cool releases. You know what I mean? But like as far as like, wow, the whole like the ones that I liked, I think probably the most brand wide. I liked what Panerai did. I like those forged titanium cases that they made. Those are really cool. The that submersible Navy SEALs where you got to go and do the Navy SEALs like experience thing, like way out of my price range by a mile. But I liked what Panerai was doing. And IWC had some cool stuff with the Loon Perpetual calendar. That I like that green ceramic engineer too with the gold accents.
Yeah,
I would say
too.
For me, like the type of for what I kind of look for in watches, for the bigger brands, those would be my two. I wouldn't say quite knocked it out of the park would be the word, but I liked what they came out with this year.
Yeah, for me, and I'm glad you guys didn't mention it. For me, the brand that knocked it like out of the park, kicked major ass off the bat, Universal Genève.
Oh yeah, okay.
Now, I wasn't in agreement when George Kern said they're going to price them above Breitling, and Breitlings are already overpriced. But you know what? They came out with not just one line or two lines, but entire brands worth of lines all at the same time. And they're not all for me, and they're not all for anyone. But God, you got to admit that some impressive stuff. I mean, their pull router is gorgeous. Their chronographs are impressive. The movements are really cool with the micro orders, true to their original. Pricing is, again, like everything else out there in Switzerland this year, they're very high. A little disappointed in that, but that's besides the point. They pulled off an entire brand at once. Not, like I said, not just one line, two lines, like 7 or 8 different watches and different shapes too. It wasn't just, it was, movements, sizes, shapes, colors, materials, precious metals. Good for them, man. Like, and I just read today, George Kern is stepping down from Breitling and is going to be the CEO of the whole conglomerate. No, so Gallo, I think it's the name of the brand, Gallo, Breitling, and Université de Genève. So yeah, no, but good for them, man. They need a shot in the arm. And I think this is the shot in the arm they're going to get. And I think we'll be able to see these watches at Breitling boutiques. I think in like a division of it. So Royal Mount, and at the Royal Mount store that we have in Montreal, that it's a big boutique. So there's lots of space to carve out a Université de Genève section. I can't wait to see them. I mean, good for them.
Right on.
Really, really presently impressed. So, in your opinion, who covered the events best? And you're not allowed to say Calibrate. Who covered it best in your opinion? Like, if going on Instagram or
who I watch. So I like this last few weeks I've been doing a renovation. So I kind of had to pick a couple of sources of information. Brent is number one for me.
I told you not allowed to use Brent's place.
$20. I'm
know.
cashing in off both these guys now.
You know what? I should mention Calibrate risk more often and recover by $20.
Yeah. But who I watched, I really enjoyed, and I hadn't watched a lot of his stuff until we had him on, but I missed the episode with Mike from This Watch, That Watch. I really kind of did a deep dive and went through a lot of his videos since he came on, but he just has a good sense of humor and a way of doing it. And I find myself agreeing with his opinions on a lot of stuff.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Like, and the other thing with him,
a really smart level-headed dude.
Yeah, and he doesn't feel salesy, and he had a whole joke about who had the best chocolate at the thing, and doing taste testing. I don't know if you caught any of his.
Yeah, caught that.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed him. He was my favorite, outside of the calibrated wrist, of course.
Yeah, I actually have to agree. I really do like Mike's stuff, and I assume that there's going to be more that comes out because he's very studied in what he does. So I'm assuming he'll have some more takes on these things too moving forward. So yeah, I would have to agree with that. But I have to admit that I think Hodinkee did a really fantastic job. Like a really fantastic job. Everything they were doing, they were doing video, they were doing articles. They didn't have a lot of original photography in those early articles. And in fairness, they do, they have a big staff and they can handle all those press releases. I remember waking up on Tuesday morning in Geneva and looking at my inbox and thinking, what the hell? Because once you're on that Watches and Wonders press list, like it was just all unread emails, like just as far as I could scroll. So, they do have the manpower, the woman power to handle that, but they did it really well. I thought they were excellent. I did run into James Stacey when we were there, and Tantan and Troy and Barmore, and they were doing a fantastic job. So I'm going to say probably, this time it really was Hodinkee. And I don't know if that has a lot to do with James being in the role now, but I just felt that it was a little bit more authentic this time around with what they were doing.
I agree. For me, one of the things I like best about the coverage was the bazillion wrist shots we got from this guy, Caliber 321 on Instagram. I don't know if you guys know that guy, but the amount of wrist shots, it's like click, 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 click. It was but I think Hodinkee really killed it this year. I have a feeling it's because Ben is back in writing mode, back into fully immerse himself in the watches. And with James Stacey at the helm of the editorial, like you said, on Tuesday morning, I woke up and I had like 40 articles that came out. They pre-wrote a lot of stuff, and then they did their own opinion things. They did podcasts live with different people, and Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I think he nailed it. It was very impressive, and it'd been a long time since they did something that thorough and
Yeah.
exhaustive. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. They
So,
really swung for the fences and attained it for sure.
any unexpected surprises over the week of the Geneva Watch Week? I've got one really out of left field.
Well, you go ahead then, because I can't really think right now. But like, what are you looking at?
Okay, so tell you what, Zenith.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Zenith has been making these Chronosport watches that are Daytona-like and a lot of their other things. And one of the issues I've had with those watches, first, they're expensive. Second, their bracelets are okay, but their clasps are terrible. And then out of nowhere, they came up with this really cool clasp. It's got a lever on the latch that springs open the clasp. And then there's a part of the clasp on the back of it that you can lift and adjust the micro adjust. I don't know if you guys saw that yet.
I didn't
I
actually.
haven't seen that. Actually.
So that really, to me, now completes those watches. I mean, if they can bring that along to their other models, then you're really, because they're in the market of competing against Rolex, competing against Omega and IWC, who have all of them phenomenal clasps, incredible construction, and these little details for me. I like little details, and this is what was missing from IWC, because a lot of the clasps are just clamshell, regular, flip over, just boring, shouldn't be on a $15,000 watch. But now they have something that's really cool, and I encourage everyone to go take a look. I don't remember where I saw the animation for it. So much coverage over the last few days.
Yeah.
But that was my surprise. I didn't see that coming, and good for them.
Good.
The one for me, and I was still occasionally getting the odd April Fool's Day post in my feed. And people are coming up with these crazy releases that aren't real. And the one that I saw, and I'm thinking, this has gotta be an April Fool's joke, was the Mosier Reebok pump.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then I was like, wait,
Same here.
this is
I thought it was some
actually
April Fool's.
real.
Some
I totally thought that was an April Fool's. I thought that was a really cool release. Like, you'd have to have, like, again, mega dinero for it. But I was looking at some of the specs on that, like one push of that pump, which is actually aluminum, it's not like a rubber thing, is 1 hour of power reserve every push.
Yes.
However the mechanism works inside, I'm not 100%.
Oh, it's probably a gear counter gear. So just instead of winding, you push it, it's threaded and it makes something turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something like that, I'm sure. But I thought that was kind of fun, and definitely the most surprising release, at
And
least.
hey, you get a pair of shoes when you buy the watch.
Do you actually? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
There
I'm
you
gonna
go.
have
Ticks
to
and
start
kicks.
saving up $40K, I think, for that one.
Yeah, exactly. $40,000 pair of shoes.
Okay, so I think that for me, then it would be the Monaco Evergraph, the Tag Heuer Monaco Evergraph. I was not anticipating, like, maybe a reworking of the Monaco makes sense, you know what I mean? But I didn't know they would go this one step further. And in the meeting where I was at, they talked about how the mechanism has changed significantly for the actuation of the chronograph.
With that new square
And
part there.
yeah, and it's a really interesting thing. And at first, they kept calling it a flexible material. And I'm sure that every journalist in the room, like me, was thinking, "Do you mean plastic?" But no, actually, it's not. It's some kind of alloy, nickel
Bioceramic?
alloy. Yeah, no, it's nickel alloy. Actually. So
Oh, cool.
so it's really cool. And on wrist, I mean, I don't think that anyone can ever say that Monaco is like the most ergonomic design ever done, but it's kind of cool. Like the skeletonized dial and everything, it looks pretty cool.
Here's my thing about Tag and their tech. All right. So years ago, they came out with a new Monaco with this kind of gear chain winding system that's supposed to revolutionize chronographs, blah, 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 blah. Disappeared. Then a few years later, they came up with this thing called isograph, which is a graphite escapement spring that was supposed to revolutionize how we keep time. And they ditched that just before they started producing it because too complicated or whatever. They always do that over the years, over the last 20, 30 years. They always come up with this we're going to revolutionize this, and it's going to come out and it's got this. They get prototypes done. They bring it to the shows. Everybody's, this is awesome, blah, 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 blah. Never comes to market. It just disappears. Oh, it's too complicated. We can't produce it and be affordable, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what happens. Now, I've said that. management changed like 6 times in the last 4 years at TAG. Who knows? Maybe there's this time it's for real.
Mhm.
I'm skeptical, so I'll have to see it to believe it, or believe it when I see it, or see it when I believe it, whatever. So, question for Brent: was it worth the travel and expenses to go to Geneva, these events, and it looks exhausting, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got to be transparent about things too. Is that most journalists at a certain stage, anyway, not all journalists, but most journalists at a certain stage, brands will help offset your travel costs. And for me, it was actually a brand that wasn't at any of the shows, so that's always helpful for sure. But we also brought a bigger team this year. We brought Mateus along, and we were going to actually bring Tyler Frederick along, and that just fell through at the last instant because of stuff on his end. But you know, the hotel was on us. The meals are on us this time around. And so it is, nonetheless, for a small business like ours, it's pretty expensive. But I would say if you're going to be in watch media, this is the place you have to be each year, or you have to have some kind of presence. It doesn't have to be me. Maybe, down the road, some other people will go in my stead. But
You send Bob.
Me and Mark.
There you go. There, you and Mark. But we've even looked into and have a couple of new writers in Europe too. So like that would just save us an awful lot, of course, in airfare and stuff like that down the road. But really, if we're just going to be honest, if you want to make it in the watch media space, you have to be there. You have to have the live picks. You have to have the hands-on, because that's the only thing that makes coming to your website worthwhile. Everybody, including Hodinkee, can publish the brand artwork, and so until you've got the live pics up there, that's what makes it, so you can skip over AI and go to that because you want to see what does it really look like on this guy's wrist. And so to do that, you got to be there. So yeah, absolutely, it's worth it, especially at this early stage where we're still in full growth mode, because there's a lot of brands that that they're curious about us and we're curious about them. So those meetings are really, really important to have face to face, so that they can see you. Yeah, you're a real person. You're a decent guy. You're authentic, and you're worth working with. So yeah, that's, for me, absolutely at this stage imperative that we be there.
And Bob, what about you? Would you consider going to Geneva to do some content? Walkthroughs. James Stacy did a vlog. I think it's 2017. The year that the Black Bay chronograph came out.
I think I remember.
And yeah, they were phenomenal. It was a series. He did 4 days in a row, and it was just him talking to camera as he's walking around and then showing us things. And you really got, it was Basil World at the time. You really got the impression of what it was like to go from one meeting to another, sitting through the meeting, seeing the coffee, seeing the hands-on, seeing them take pictures, and then packing up and going to the next one. He took us on the release for the Black Bay chronograph. It was on a boat that was docked at the pier there, and he walked up to the boat, walked in, saw the people and the watches. Is it something you could do? You'd want to do?
I would love to, man. Like I usually do like a vlog style, kind of casual-ish.
Yeah, well, your vacation stuff.
Yeah, and I've done it at a few, most of the Canadian shows. I did one for DC. It's a lot of fun. That's my favorite type of content to create. So I would definitely do that. I love to do that in combination with some other stuff, like types of content. And I think I'm going to be going to Geneva actually in is it the fall? September?
Yeah, September.
Watch days there?
Geneva Watch Days this year, which would be my first trip. So we'll see. Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should be fun.
So let's change some gears here. BC, right around the corner. How long are you guys staying? When are you getting there? When you leave?
We fly out tomorrow.
You fly out tomorrow, Brent?
Yeah, and then we leave Monday. So we'll be there for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then leave Monday.
What time are you in tomorrow, or what time you fly out tomorrow?
Well, we fly out from Ottawa at 8:50. I think we arrive 11:20 or something like that, BC time. So we should be there. Like this time we're going to skip the Ubering into town and take that train, because that's only 30-some minutes, and the Uber could be an hour and a half, 2 hours. So
it's also $3 versus $85.
Yeah,
Uber.
Exactly. So we're going to do that, and so we should be on the North Shore, 1, 2 in the afternoon.
I'll be your welcoming.
Excellent.
I have an
Excellent.
early flight tomorrow morning. My flight leaves, I think, at like 7:20, and I get there around 9-ish or something like that,
Yeah,
Vancouver.
that's the craziness about the time
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah, and then I'm there till Monday too. I think mid-after or early afternoon, around 1. So,
Well,
what
my
about you?
headspace is already there because we've been worried about the magazines. Magazines are supposed to be shipped there, and we had this time we were like so prepared, and the printer was great, but UPS is kind of letting us down. They were supposed to arrive yesterday, and then they didn't, and all the message said was due to unforeseen circumstances,
Oh, Jesus.
they're not delivered, and then it said. We will update you with a new delivery time as soon as possible. I thought, okay, that doesn't sound good, but so finally we located them. They were in Delta, BC, only 27 kilometers from the venue. So this morning the printer reached out to them and kind of jiggled the cage. And so apparently they're on their way. I mentioned this only because it's Dan, the Dansome, who's receiving the magazines for
At
us.
his place?
Yeah, and he did it last time, right? But of course we do a lot more magazines this time. So there's 14 boxes.
The first
Wow.
thing I think when I first land there, I'm going straight to Bradley Taylor's because he's storing a bunch of stuff for Jason. I'm basically manual labor guy on Thursday for the most part, but yeah, if you need a hand with the boxes, let me know.
All right.
Last year I flew in on Friday afternoon. I got there around 2:00, just enough time for me and Jose to go across, get a burger, and come back, and then do the evening. And then I left right after the marathon event, from the event to the airport using that
I
train.
remember that. You had your bag. I
So
remember that.
I brought my bag to to Waldorf's. This year I'm going with my wife. We're going to be flying in on Friday morning. We're taking off at 8:30, arriving there 10:30ish, and then we're staying till the following Thursday. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow, that's nice. Oh,
we're gonna spend some time.
Are you guys all at the same hotel, that Pinnacle or whatever?
Pinnacle.
Yeah.
yeah.
Pinnacle at the pier.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna spend some time in BC and do some little vacationing together, and it's gonna be fun. I can't.
That'll be cool.
It's great for her to come to BC. She's never been, but if it's just gonna be watches for 3 days, she's gonna shoot herself.
Yeah.
So
we did the same last time. We stayed 4 extra days actually the last time. And it was a lot of fun.
yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Can't wait. And apparently, though, it's gonna be a little cool. It's not gonna be like last year. Last year it was t-shirts and shorts. I don't know if you remember. It was nice and warm and sunny. It's gonna be cooler, like 13, 14 degrees, which is fine.
But sunny.
So, yeah,
It's
sunny.
gonna be sunny the whole time.
That's gonna be cool. I can't wait. So, what brands are you guys looking forward to seeing most at the BC show?
I don't know if I can make a list exactly because the interesting thing about this show is there are quite a few new brands. So I would just say blanket. I'm interested in seeing what all these new ones are up to. Like some of these brands have never been to the Toronto show. I've never seen them at Intersect. I haven't seen them in Switzerland. So this is like there's a bunch. There's got to be at least half a dozen or so that I'm not really unfamiliar with. So I'm looking forward to that.
There's less brands this year, though, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's close to 40 this year instead of 45 or something. Yeah.
He's got 29 posted on his site, so hopefully there's others there that are not.
Well, Caroline did the program, and I'm pretty sure that there's 40. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's about the same as last year. Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. There's a couple. I always love hanging out with Jose from Isotope. He's awesome.
Yeah, me too.
It's like kind of catching up with a friend that you don't get to see very often. Ivan from Vario is the same kind of a situation.
Yeah, Huey.
Huey, all of those guys. I've gotten to know Kirk a little bit better. He's sort of working with Huey on some stuff, so hanging out with him some. The one disappointment I just found out today that Gio isn't going to be at the show.
No,
I always enjoy hanging out with Gio. I don't know if I told you guys, but when I went to DC the other month, I got to the hotel around 10:30. It's like I could go for like a beer right about now, but I don't know what everybody's doing. I get out of my Uber and I hear, "Hello, Bobby." Gio standing at the front of the hotel. So I had a person to go grab a beer with immediately. Anyways, yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting some of the new brands too.
Yeah, Gio's super cool. When we was at Hours and Minutes in Los Angeles, he was staying at the same hotel as me. And every time I either got to the hotel or was leaving the hotel, he was at the bar.
Yeah.
Either having a cappuccino in the morning or having a drink. I ran into him all the time. Such a nice dude, man.
Yeah.
As far as brands concerned, Jack Mason's not going to be there, I don't think, this year. I always look forward to seeing Peter and their stuff. I was kind of hoping to see Fortis. They're not here this year either because of my Novanaut. Now that I've gotten to, I want to see the titanium one and see the other stuff that they make. I never got a chance last year. I was just so busy. By the time I got to Fortis, they were shutting down on the Sunday and they were packing up most of the stuff. So I never got to really talk to them. But there's one, I mean, it's always great seeing Mike Pearson in person.
Yeah.
He's, again, another great dude. And I want to see the new True GMT that they made, the one with their own caliber. I think that's going to be a really cool watch. I think I'm most excited about that one. But these shows, now I've done 6 shows last year. I've already done one this year. The camaraderie we have with our friends at the various brands, we've already mentioned a bunch of names. We only see each other at these things. And you know, we're, as a brand, you're packing up, you're loading up, you're helping out when there's only one person behind the booth and they got to go to a bathroom. And so you stand behind their counter for a while. And Bob, you've done that a few times.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to seeing all our friends.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in a magical place. And I don't have to think about my other job. I can just focus on having fun and watches, and really, really looking forward to that.
I mean, we're really looking forward to the Friday night too, because it started off as it was going to be Huey, RZD, and with us, and we are just going to host this party. And it would be to take a look at RZD's watches and, launch the magazine. And plus we just published a book with Olek and Weiss. So we're going to have the book there and everything. And then Elliot Brown said, well, geez, we'd like to get on this. And then Chris Ward said, yeah, we'd like to get on this. And so it's growing and growing. And I last check, I think there were over 50 people confirmed for invites. And we always know it's going to be at least that again walk-in. So it's gonna be a pretty huge party. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's right after the because the Creators Night ends a little early this year at 8:30. So we can start at 9 just around the corner. So yeah, it should be pretty good.
Just enough time to go bring the watches back to the hotel room and
that's right.
head over. So Brent, will you be doing interviews again in your hotel room like we did last year? Because I'll tell you one thing. When I showed up last year, I had before Jose and I went to have lunch, we swung by your room and I was sitting on the bed while you were interviewing Jose. Hugh was there. He let me play with the UDT 8000. And I was just mad. I was just sitting there like a little kid. Watches everywhere. It's so cool. Are you going to do that again?
I wish I could say that we're going to, but we're probably not, because our focus this year is not going to be on YouTube like it was then. And so it really made sense to have like a stable camera so we could shoot that 9:16 format and people to have that degree of quiet and the microphones and everything. But we're going to sort of do it more like guerrilla warfare this year. And Mateus is coming this year. And he's going to be shooting
specialty, right? Guerrilla warfare.
Yeah. So Mateus is going to come and shoot some stuff for TikTok, and then Caroline's going to do some stuff for Instagram, like reels and stories and things that are right on the show floor, so that people who are, on Instagram can see what's happening as throughout the day, rather than something afterwards. Like here's what happened. We're going to try and keep it a little bit more immediate this year, our coverage and that sort of thing. So we're looking forward to that.
Cool. And Bob, are you going to be helping tear down the show, and are you going to be standing behind the Xenia booth again?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be tearing it up the whole time, man.
There you go. As only Bob can.
Yeah. I'll be there to help set up, tear down, not working the table. But I'm floating around, and some of the people, hey, you need a bathroom break, whatever. There's some people working solo and stuff like that. So I'll help sort of with little things through the day, but not locked into a table this time, which is kind of good.
After our parties, we already talked about the RZE / Elliot Brown / Christopher Ward / TCW. What are you guys looking forward to other than that? I think there's like a swap meet thing going on Saturday afternoon or something.
Yeah, there's a swap meet. There's a special coffee gathering on the Friday morning over at Revolution Coffee. There's that meet later in the day. There's the marathon party on Saturday, which I think is just going to make it even crazier because more people will still be around to attend it, for one. And then, 2, people are going to feel like, well, they don't have to catch a flight first thing in the morning, so let's go. So, so that'll be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, it was a great party last year.
Is there like a Friday walk thing with everybody walking together to the coffee place or something? Did I hear something like that? Or
Can't remember what's happening in the morning. I know that it's somewhere between 7 and 9, and I'm just gonna head down there for that. I don't know about the walk part, but no, there was originally gonna be like the grouse grind,
yeah,
but because of the weather, it might not be advisable, because it might be very muddy and slick at this time of year. So
And colder up the mountain too, right?
definitely, yeah, definitely.
The walk, the coffee place is near Waldorf's, right? It's not very
Right
far walk
across,
from,
yeah, like pretty
yeah,
much
it's
just
an easy walk.
kitty corner to it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm obviously going to go to the TCW thing and the marathon. Are we doing a dinner with Dan this year? Is he talking?
There are no plans yet. There aren't any plans for that yet. So if
It'd
we
have to
are,
be
it'll
like
have to be
Sunday evening.
Sunday. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that might be a nice way to unwind.
Yeah. That was a nice restaurant last year.
Yeah.
Although you guys got the cushy seats around the couch and the fireplace.
Well, it was a little awkward eating off your lap.
That's true. That's true. But drinks.
Yeah.
So you guys looking forward to anything else in BC while you're there?
for me, it's just hanging out with the people. Like I'm gonna be pretty much flat out from the time I land till the time I leave. So it's gonna be just hanging out, having a little bit of fun, checking out some watches. But I'm not gonna have much time outside of the show and the meetups for myself to do anything non-watch related, really. But still gonna be awesome.
I think Thursday we're gonna try and get around. I've been to Granville Island and all those areas, but Mateus hasn't. So we might try on the Thursday just to hit a couple of highlights so that he gets to see the city a bit, and maybe Stanley Park on the Friday, depending upon the weather. So yeah.
Yeah, last year, like I said before, it was in and out. It was just watches the entire time. We walked downtown together, Jose and I, half hour. Like I got to see nothing. So I'm looking forward to seeing BC properly. My wife has never been. Going to go see the Rockies and do some sightseeing and stuff. And public transit's supposed to be really, really good in BC.
It is. Yeah, it's really great.
So that should be a lot of fun. So last question, guys. What watch are you planning to wear most at the show?
I am going to wear, I've had it on, I think, the last 2 episodes, and one of the reasons is because there's so many cool RZE things going on, but I'm going to be wearing my UTD 8000 for a good chunk of the trip, and I'll probably I think I'm going to bring my Mercury too. Those will be the 2 go-to.
Yeah, if you don't, Jose's going to kill you.
Yeah, I know.
You know that, right?
Those will be probably the only 2 watches I bring, but yeah.
I'm going to double wrist it as well. UTD on the right wrist, and on the left, I think I'm bringing in Olek and Weiss, just because of the book launch. I want to be people who are unfamiliar with the brand to see what it is that they're doing. So I don't know if it's going to be one of their chronos, which would make sense, or maybe they're 1,000-meter diver, which I have here too. So something like that, or maybe I'll bring a vintage piece because I have a couple of those on hand too.
Is there any brand reps in Vancouver from them?
So
or no?
No, right now, Olek and Weiss is I think in negotiation with Roldorf actually. So I don't know if that'll pan out or not, but hopefully they will.
Cool.
I met them at the Hype last year. They represented. So the whole line there was pretty cool to see them all in person.
Yeah,
that dude was pretty quiet though. He was not.
I don't know which dude was there because there's a few, but it was a Charles by any chance?
I don't remember the name.
Okay.
He introduced himself. Barely spoke to him. Yeah. Hopefully this year they come again and I'll get to talk to them some more. I'm obviously going to be working for Isotopes, so I'll be wearing the Moonshot Terramaris that I wear all the time. I love that watch. I don't know what else I'm going to bring. I'm torn. Either the new one, my Eterna, or the Nova Knot, which I absolutely love. But I'm thinking my Grand Seiko because then I can use the GMT function properly. I don't know. I don't know yet.
All 4.
Yeah, no, because I have to bring back. The the watch that you're going to bring there? What's it called again?
The Mercury?
No, the one that you're returning. You're bringing back the 5280 to the guys from 5280, and you're bringing that other watch for Bettina.
Oh, Moles & Co.
Yeah. So I got to bring that back, and more than likely than not, Jose's going to give me a bunch of watches so that we have to display at the Montreal Timepiece Show in a month from now. I have 9 timepieces here. I only have 1 Hydrium. I don't have any Mercuries. I don't have the new OVNI. We have production models. Don't have any of those. I could show the prototype. Cool enough, but I'd like to have some newer stuff, some newer dials and some novelties to be able to show. I also have to figure out a display, but that's for another day. So yeah, that's it. Can't wait to see you guys in person, give you guys hugs.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, won't be long now.
Yep. So that's pretty much the show. We'd like to thank everybody who's listening for tuning in. And please, if you see us in Vancouver, come find us. We've got some stickers for you. The Time to Calibrate podcast is out every 2 weeks and can be found everywhere you download podcasts. If you'd like to get a hold of us, our email is timetocalibrate@gmail.com, and you can DM us on Instagram at timetocalibrate. If you like the show, please recommend it to a friend. We'd sure appreciate it. See you in BC. T2C out.